From a master of rage bait to a literal hacker, Unstable SMP has had its fair share of villains. This is every single Unstable SMP villain explained. Starting with True Original, he was hired by wifies during the Director arc to hunt down Parrot and the Bounty Assassin team, and the first thing he did was level an entire town because he was bored. He could teleport, walk on water, copy other players' looks to trick his targets, slow down time, and kill instantly with an aura that stripped a player's whole inventory on contact. He could even clone himself to mine multiple blocks at once. His only real weakness was something as simple as cobwebs. As the hunt dragged on, True Original got so confident that he decided he was above the director who hired him, and tried to kill Parrot for real instead of just scaring him. Bat eventually trapped him at their headquarters, where Newfully fired a max power Obbo Strike cannon blast that destroyed him along with the mace he was carrying. Keep that mace in mind, because maces show up again and again throughout this list, as one of the rarest, most dangerous weapons on the server. Next is Mr. Cube 6, a redstone genius who also worked for the director, built around traps instead of raw combat. He built layered setups so dangerous that catching just one member, the Rupture, on a single pressure plate was enough to threaten blowing up all of Bat's headquarters at once. He always seemed to be thinking several steps ahead. Even after Bat captured and interrogated him, handing him a dandelion as some kind of marker, the director somehow already knew Cube had received it before anyone could have told him. Cube escaped using a stasis chamber, the same trick a lot of villains on this list used to dodge real consequences. It's Real Me was another assassin sent by the director, and he's proved some villains barely needed a plan to be terrifying, just cold focus and a weapon nobody else had yet. He carried a mace at a time when almost nobody had one, using it to kill about half the bad members who tried to ambush him. After cornering and nearly killing Parrot, he simply told him the director sent him and walked away, treating the whole thing like a job that was now finished. He later resurfaces as something closer to a mental figure for flamefrags, making him one of the few villains on this list whose story doesn't end in a clean defeat. That brings us to wifies, who turned out to be the director the entire time, and arguably the most personal villain Parrot had ever faced, simply because it was someone he already trusted completely. He faked his own death using a dark sword trick, then resurfaced as the invisible director. His stated motive was protecting Parrot for his own good, even while running these elaborate lethal games against him. He killed Newfully directly with an arrow cannon, trapped Jumper Who and the Rupture over the void as leverage, and eventually locked Parrot inside Paragon, an escape-proof prison, forcing him to give up everything he owned, including his spyglass. Their story ended on two linked pressure plates wired to detonate hundreds of TNT if either stepped off, and Parrot survived by dropping his spyglass onto the plate in his place. wifies was caught in the explosion, and this time he actually died for real. Prince Zem ruled the Zem Empire behind a massive wall built around Spawn, and he started out as a genuine ally to wemmbu, even helping him hunt down Spoke early on, but Zem's growing paranoia eventually took over, leading him to betray wemmbu outright, setting him up to be killed by flamefrags and openly admitting he saw wemmbu as too weak to bother killing himself. He's later imprisoned by the law, broken out by Spoke, and ends up helping start District 13 version 2 against Lettucek. Venom led a toxic civilization that repeatedly harassed flamefrags during his solo player era, griefing his camp and kidnapping his dog Ashen. After wave after wave of attacks using strength potions and poison arrows failed to slow him down, Flame hunted Venom back to his own base and killed him in a direct fight while wearing only half his armor. Ashlag is easily the defining villain of Season 1, and arguably the most dangerous villain in the entire series. He ran the Invisible Mafia, the biggest faction the server has ever seen, which is exactly how he became so powerful. Spoke eventually infiltrated the Mafia under the codename Fish Bucket, destroyed the stasis chamber system, and that was the end of the Mafia. Boosfer comes up constantly across Season 2 without ever needing his own dedicated arc. He paid Wemmbu to destroy a valley that turned out to be a hidden animal sanctuary, sent TNT bomber planes after his enemies, and ran in a server election against Parrot before losing it. He's just a master of rage bait. Jaden Man led the pirates from the Great Sea, and he's one of the only players to ever dual wield a trident and a mace. His rivalry with Wemmbu spans multiple arcs, repeatedly invading his civilizations and stealing Lomadi's mace, which became a long-running grudge for flamefrags. He was later captured by the law, with Lettucek using him as leverage to control Wemmbu. After being freed during the King's Arc finale, he slowly shifts from antagonist to uneasy ally, eventually fighting alongside the protagonist against the Law's army. Leerwook founded the Bounty Assassin team to hunt down players he saw as corrupt, but his judgment was never as clean as he believed it was. His rivalry with Spoke became deeply personal, and he vowed the conflict between them would never end until Spoke was dead. That promise ended up being ironic, since he pulled his own stasis chamber pole without realizing Spoke had already rigged it, falling into the void for good. But before we continue, I want to ask you to subscribe, because this video genuinely took forever to make, so subscribing would help a ton. Also consider hyping the video. Straight, also known as Mind Manor, worked on the Grian in the Skyblock civilization, acting as an enforcer who policed Wemmbu when he infiltrated the civilization, even forcing him into a sumo duel to decide his fate. It later came out that Straight had been secretly working with the Invisible Mafia the whole time, leaking the civilization's location and enabling the Mafia's takeover. Grian ruled that same Skyblock civilization under a strict join or die rule, secretly stockpiling items that shouldn't even be obtainable under Skyblock rules, just to control his citizens. Wemmbu eventually exposed him from it, right before the Invisible Mafia, aided by Straight's betrayal, conquered the civilization anyway. Clownpierce claims the entire Nether as his personal kingdom, holding a total monopoly over netherite and brewing resources. Lettucek might be the single biggest villain in the entire series, just based on how long he stuck around and how much damage he caused. He founded the Law as a justice organization and turned it into outright tyranny, sacrificing 1,000 of his own soldiers in a doomed fight against Wemmbu and flamefrags purely to capture Wemmbu and use it as political capital. He was eventually defeated by Parrot and imprisoned under mining fatigue, the same punishment Wemmbu once suffered under his rule. He was later freed through a hostage exchange during the Civil War, becoming Separato's self-described final piece of the puzzle. Shubili was hired by Cindercrest to assassinate both Teal and Parrot, and even though that first attempt failed, he became one of the most feared fighters of the entire war, responsible for the Skymo massacre, wiping out almost an entire 1,000-player civilization. What makes him interesting is that he's actually Teal's former teacher in Elytra Mason combat, and he visibly avoids fighting Teal directly, despite showing no remorse for anything else he's done. This leads me to Separator, who leads Cindercrest and stands as the main villain of the Civil War from Parrot's side. His motivation is personal. He blames Parrot for opening spawn to new players, claiming the resulting bandit attacks killed his own friend. Arachnid rules the Kingdom of the Caves, a massive underground civilization, and he's far sneakier than he first appears. He starts as a candidate in the server's election and a major threat during the Purge event, hunting rival candidates using TNT rigged traps. He later captures Acheron to coerce Wemmbu into joining his civilization, dangling Acheron's freedom as a reward for dangerous missions. including the assassination of Highwater City's leader. While publicly allied with Saporetta, Arachnid secretly resents the arrangement and rigs his own kingdom with TNT, so Cindercrest could never inherit it intact. He ultimately orders wemmbu to betray and massacre both Cindercrest's and Parrot's forces during the Battle of Capital City, purely to clear his own path to the throne. Youngie Axe serves as Arachnid's enforcer and second in command. He's responsible for much of wembu's daily mistreatment, including forcing him and Jaden Man into a deathmatch after they accidentally summon a warden, an act so extreme that even Arachnid steps in to scold him. He later uses Acheron as a bargaining chip too, giving wembu a brutal choice between joining the kingdom or watching Acheron die. He grows resentful when wembu is promoted above him, protesting loudly enough that Arachnid threatens to ban him. The invisible guy is pure filler. He stole Acheron's book of server secrets after the Sculpt Kingdom forced Acheron to hand it over. He hunted Acheron down using that information, eventually kidnapping him and auctioning him off in a bidding war between wembu, flamefrags, Arachnid, and Jaden Man. Then he just disappeared until flamefrags fought him again and destroyed him. Finally, there's Jamato P, who might be the most tragic villain on this list. He started as Spoke's first real ally, teaching him exploits and glitch mechanics that define his early career. Their partnership fractured when Spoke wanted to destroy every end portal to duplicate mobs faster, and Jamato accused him of trying to play God before vanishing from the server. When he resurfaced, he had founded Null Hunters, an operation built to hunt down so-called bad players, with Spoke framed as the server's single biggest threat. He runs a hidden prison called Purgatory, which Spoke swiftly escaped from. So what connects every single villain on this list? Almost none of them actually started out evil. Prince Zem wanted control, Lettucek K wanted order, Jamato wanted answers, and even Saporetta just wanted to protect the people he loved. Remember the maze that True Original carried at the very start? Well, by the end of this list, maze, stasis chambers, and rigged loyalty have shown up over and over as the exact same tools every villain reaches for, no matter what side of the story they are standing on. If you enjoyed this video, check out the video on screen where I rank all of these villains on a tier list. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one.